The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Let us one more time play for you Donald Trump, and then we will go to one of our favorite guests, Linda Jordan. Our website, 710knus.com. And because we are back at who this man is, or in fact is not, 10 facts that suggest Barack Obama's birth certificate is a fake. It is up on the website, 710knus.com. But ladies and gentlemen, you can watch this because you can see the video. This is the Donald.
Going back a few years, do you regret questioning President Obama's citizenship? Why or why not?
Not even a little bit. I don't regret it. Why would I regret it? He came out with a book that wasn't published. You remember the famous book, and it said a young man on the cover, a young man from Kenya. I offered him a tremendous amount of money just to show his right. I didn't want to see his marks. I just wanted to see place of birth. So look, there are three things that could happen. And one of them did happen. He was perhaps born in Kenya. Very simple, okay? He was perhaps born in this country, but said he was born in Kenya, because if you say you were born in Kenya, you got aid and you got into colleges. And people were doing that. So perhaps he was born in this country, and that has a very big chance. Or, you know, who knows? Maybe it was all right. Now, I offered $5 million to just see the records. And I'll tell you what, he would have done a great service, because there are millions of people. There are people in this country. I walk down the street and they're saying, please don't give up on the whole thing with the birth certificate. Now, I hope that it's 100% fine. A lot of people are questioning the birth certificate. They're questioning its authenticity. But I do say this. I offered $5 million just to see some basic records. Not the marks, not the this, nothing. Just some basic things on applications to colleges. I'd love to see what's put down. Why didn't a man take $5 million for his favorite charity? Now then, what wasn't reported by the press is sometime just prior to the expiration date of that offer, I raised the offer to $50 million. $50 million for charity. Pick your charity, $50 million. Let me see your records. And I never heard from him. So I would take it. I mean, I would take it, and I'd give it to Chicago charities, and I'd give it to all sorts of charities, and they can use the money. So it's one of those three things. Either it's fine, or he was born in Kenya, or in my opinion, there's a very good chance he was born here and said he was born in Kenya. Because if you were born in Kenya, you got into colleges, and you got aid. Very simple.
Ladies and gentlemen, please say good morning and welcome back to 710 KNUS. A true favorite, Linda Jordan, joins us. Hey, Linda, good morning, and thanks for coming.
Hey, good morning, Peter. Thank you for having me on.
Well, there it is, Donald Trump. What do you think?
Oh, my gosh. God bless Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's just like millions of us out there. There are questions that need to be answered. We have a fake forged birth certificate posted on the White House website. The man turns down $50 million. Rather than show the real thing. There is no authentic birth certificate that says what he knows it needs to say in order to not be caught in a huge whopper of a lie. So, I mean, it's so clear. It's so clear. Nobody turns down $50 million. Nobody turns down that kind of money so that they don't have to show their birth certificate. Nobody allows a man like Terry Lakin to be sent to prison rather than show his birth certificate, which is exactly what Barack Obama did.
Could have saved
He
him.
allowed Terry Lakin to be court-martialed and go to prison rather than show his birth certificate. He turns down $50 million rather than show his birth certificate. And when push comes to shove, what does he give us? A forged document.
Yeah. You know, we have, like I said, on the website this morning, 710knus.com, 10 facts suggesting Obama's birth certificate is a fake. There isn't any question in my mind.
No.
That, and I remember so clearly the morning when that birth certificate was delivered, and I brought this up earlier, and I will bring it up with you. This layered 9 different layers, and we've been over this, and you can go to the website, but we can talk about it again if somebody wishes to. long story short, and I remember it so well because they came right at me because locally I was the guy that was, pushing the theory that this guy's life is a fraud. Having said that, if you remember, and I'm sure you do, CNN and all these different outfits waiting, and I think it was probably, or it might have been, Trump's hangar, and he was in a helicopter that could taxi.
Right.
And boy, the microphones were lined up and the cameras were shooting, and they were going to make this guy eat crow. Now, that thing he just did was at the National Press Club. He did that, I believe, on Monday. And you can hear some applause. I mean, some people actually applauded him saying no. And he talks about the $50 million donation. I didn't see CNN there. I didn't see MSNBC. I didn't see Brian Williams in the Nightly News.
Now, Peter, I remember that day, and I remember one thing stands out in particular to me. That when they held the press conference on April 27th, 2011, to release this forged image on the White House website, they had photocopies of the forgery that they handed out to the press. Now, there's probably 50 or 60 media in that room, and after they hold a press conference, they have what they call a press gaggle, where they all get to talk and ask questions, and you've got Pfeiffer and Kerry and Bauer, the White House counsel, there answering questions about the birth certificate. And one thing's very interesting. A reporter, now they wouldn't allow cameras here. They said right off the bat, there will be no cameras. So one of the reporters, unidentified, says to Pfeiffer, you can imagine that people are going to remain unconvinced. They're going to say this is just a photocopy of a piece of paper. Will the actual certificate be on display or viewable at any time? At this point, everybody starts laughing. Now, why would you laugh? Why does a question like that make you laugh? And Pfeiffer, and then the reporter continues and says, will the president be holding it? And Pfeiffer says this is very interesting. He says, he will not, and I will not leave it here for him to do so.
Indeed. And remember, it wasn't really there anyhow.
No, it wasn't. But why on earth would this man, Mr. Pfeiffer, treat Barack Obama like he was a 2-year-old infant? This is his birth certificate, purportedly, that he just requested, that was just flown in from Hawaii the night before by his private attorney, Judith Corley.
That's right.
And Pfeiffer says, no, and I'm not even going to leave it here so that he can hold it.
Well, better
it's
yet.
His birth certificate.
Yeah.
I mean, over and over and over again. Then what makes this even worse, and it's kind of lewd the way you can piece this together. There was a attorney turned reporter named Savannah Guthrie.
She was the only one
who was invited.
Yeah, the only one.
Invited backstage
to see
by somebody, by Pfeiffer or Bauer or Obama himself, to get a personal, private look.
Thank you.
At his birth certificate, and not only that, they let her touch it.
Yeah.
And she touched it, and then she took a picture of it with her telephone, and then she did a tweet where she says, I just saw the certified copy of the long-form POTUS birth certificate today, felt the raised seal, snapped this pic. Why? Where was the outcry from the other 50 or 60 reporters?
You know what? I'll tell you, there's so many things like that. But again, this is a fabulous guest. I love her, Linda Jordan, on Trump's comments and taking everyone back into time. And when Barack Obama, quote, produces his, quote, real birth certificate, which is simply a PDF file. It's layered. It's electronically manipulated. It's a document that really only shows one electric edition after another. And one reporter, it was Savannah Guthrie. And people, it's what people don't know or don't remember or wasn't reported. But Savannah Guthrie, she was with NBC News, which is the greatest lay-down Obama network in America, was allowed to see, quote, the real document. And it was a PDF, and it looked loaded into the Internet for everybody to see. And at that point, the mainstream press, the Denver Post, all the outlets, the Obama crowd, if you would, they said, well, that's the end of the story. That's pretty much it, right?
Yes.
The only problem is, what's the problem?
Well, the problem is that the document is an abject forgery. It's not a document. It never existed in paper form. It was not a scan of a photocopy. And he had asked for a photocopy of his original birth certificate. Loretta Fuddy, who has since died in a very mysterious plane crash, said that she gave him 2 photocopies, or his lawyer, of his original birth certificate. And when you scan a photocopy into a computer, you don't get all these layers and all these manipulations. You get nothing.
Yeah.
You just simply get a copy of the document you scanned. So it's a forgery, and he's still not producing the real thing, and Hawaii is still refusing to produce the real thing. I don't know if you knew this, but I had a public records request into Hawaii for Loretta Fuddy's calendar. I did a story a while back on the fact that why would Judith Corley, Obama's lawyer, travel all the way to Hawaii to get a forged PDF file that could have just been sent to her.
I don't believe she ever brought anything back from Hawaii.
Right. And so I thought, okay, why don't I get Loretta Fuddy's work calendar, her schedule, and I'll focus on that week, that day, April 25th, that she purportedly was there picking up these documents, and see what was on her calendar, on her work schedule. So I did a FOIA request, a public records request for it, and the response was, Loretta Fuddy, the director of the Hawaii Department of Health, has no work calendar, no public work calendar.
Please.
The only calendar she had was private. And I said, well, how could that be? How would you know where she was? How would you schedule any event? In fact, how did anybody know that she was on that plane with her assistant deputy director that crashed?
Yeah.
I mean, how would you even know she was there if she had no work calendar, work-related calendar? And I just got wholly unsatisfactory answers. So basically, they're denying me access to her work calendar because they don't want anyone to see what she was doing on April 25th, 2011, and where exactly she was.
And, as we talk about Judith Corley, who was with this Perkins Coie law firm, this law firm that had been defending Barack Obama on all these eligibility cases. They were Obama's private sector attorneys. So Judith Corley, we're led to believe, takes the night flight. Now, by the way, this thing could have been sent electronically in the blink of an eye. It didn't take anyone making a trip on an airplane, which was fascinating, that night flight where she leaves and comes back and flies nonstop and goes into the White House, and all of a sudden they produce, and it was when, Trump had really come after him, and the mainstream press for the first time was giving it attention simply because of Trump, and also Corsi's book was coming.
Right.
And at that point, I think they were trying to head him off at the pass. So, and I always have this guy that I call Jimmy Down the Hall. And Jimmy Down the Hall is a little PC computer geek who, if you look at this birth certificate, you guys, I urge you to come back again and again and again because of Trump is back in the news, and it says father's race, and it says African. Now, we have the expert with us. Linda, Charles Kirchner's coming up, Cashow's coming up. We spoke with, Mike Valin this morning. Everyone who has done the work, Joel Gilbert, all these different guys, Jerry, all these different guys, and they've looked, and they can't find another black kid, boy or girl, with a birth certificate from that period, give it 5 years back and 5 years ahead.
No. In fact, I have the language that Hawaii used during that time period, and in fact used up until I think it was 2005,
right.
And it was not African, not at all.
What did they say if you were black and born in Hawaii in the 60s, the late 50s, or into the 70s? What did they put on their father's race or mother's race?
Well, from what I've seen in Hawaii, it was black or Negro.
Yeah, not African. African is not a race.
Right.
That's like saying American. Well, American's not a race.
Right.
You're not a race. They have father's race, and now I'm projecting here, but Jimmy down the hall, the little computer guy, he's so politically correct, he can't say black and he can't say Negro.
Right. He can't bring himself to say it.
He can't do it. So what does he say? He says African.
Right.
And,
sure.
And of course, as you know, plenty of people believe that it's not Barack, the other Barack, as they call him, that the real true dad is Frank Marshall Davis.
Well, when you're dealing with a liar like Barack Obama is, and we've shown it over and over and over again. I did an article I called "Yeah, That's the Ticket," where I just go over 5 major lies that Obama has told us about his life. I'm wondering why his supporters. I mean, that I know why I don't believe a thing that comes out of his mouth, but why don't his supporters believe him? Because for 16 years, Peter, he was telling people he was born in Kenya.
Right.
Now, that's just not one time. 16 years in his biography. He told people, I was born in Kenya. In 1991 is when it first showed up. In 1998, he updated his bio, left the born in Kenya. In 2005, he updated his bio, left the born in Kenya in there. In 2007, he updated his bio and left the born in Kenya in there. In fact, he did not change the born in Kenya until after 3 months of running for president in April. That's when he finally changed it. When someone said, gosh, we better change this because, geez, you can't be president if you were born in Kenya. All right, let's change that. And they did. Why didn't his supporters believe him for those 16 years that he was born in Kenya?
Because, by the way, there's this literary agent, and it's Acton and Dristel, Acton, and the other, and Dystel.
Yes.
And that company put together a little booklet describing their stable of writers. And in that stable is Barack Obama. And this is a bio he personally wrote. And he boasts that he was born in Kenya, raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. Those are his words.
Yes.
He tells his literary agent he was born in Kenya. Now, again, when he starts Occidental College, before he transferred to Columbia, his name was Barry Soetoro, and quite possibly had already been claiming to be of Kenyan birth.
Right.
He's either lying then or lying now, but both can't be true, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I believe he was born in Hawaii. I mean, just for FYI, I don't know who his biological father is, but the whole story is anything but true.
Yes.
So
it's anything but true. That's absolutely right. And to me, it's all about his fake ID. I know his Social Security number is phony. He's using a forged birth certificate, and he used that forged birth certificate to get other fake documentation and ID. And that says it all. You use fake ID when you don't have the real thing, or when the real thing says something on it that you don't want it to say. And so you come up with fake ID. And why is it so hard for Fox News and CNN and all these people to get their head around fake ID? It's a simple crime.
I think, here's what I think with Fox, and I thought, why didn't Fox go with Trump on Memorial Day weekend? And then the more I read about this stuff on the internet, and it's crazy enough to even suggest it, but that Karl Rove now has a tremendous amount of say-so in what happens inside of Fox News. Karl Rove is a despicable person. I mean, known as Bush's brain. And I don't know if these guys are staying away from this, but you would think that when Trump makes that, and he's at the National Press Club, he's not in somebody's backyard.
Right.
I don't know. I sincerely don't know. Can I put you on hold and do a few things and bring you back and let you begin and how you got into this? What was the moment for you? Can I get you to hold? Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
Linda Jordan is with us. You know what? It might be cool to. Can we ask her if it's okay? We brought Kirchner with her. I would love to hear the two of them together. I think this could be the beginning of the kinds of things that I hope would happen. I realize we're doing this on the fly. But see if Charles and Linda know one another, because what I'd like to see, and now with Trump back in the game, why not a summit? All right. Well, bring both of these folks up. First of all, Linda Jordan is with us, and then he is a retired commander. Charles Kirchner is with us. Commander, first of all, thank you for joining in on the conversation, and welcome back to Denver and to Denver Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, too, Peter, and I appreciate the chance to come back and talk to you. I've been on the show before. I remember going back to Terry Lakin's court-martial.
Absolutely.
Called in live from there during a break, and I was on one time before with you with Mike Boland, so it's great to be back, and you do a good job, and you're one of the few voices that is out there consistently banging away at this fraud and usurper we have in the White House.
Also, on the other line is Linda Jordan, and Miss Jordan is, again, one of those people we just love, and she has also been very active in the quest. Now, let me set both of you up for a question and have you comment, and then we'll move into the real issues. I have long believed, since Trump joined this fight, and after Trump got they tried to shame Trump with that fake birth certificate. Now Trump is back, of course, with the dollars offer. You know, guys, what would be the odds of a seminar, if you would, like they do in academia or they do in science or in medicine, when you bring together, you know, you two and, I don't know, Mike Valin and you know, Jack Cascio and Jerry Corsi and Joel Gilbert, a summit, yeah.
Yeah, Attorney Mario Puzo, who represented my case. We took it to the Supreme Court.
Yes, and bring all of these people together. And you know, Trump has the wallet, or we could do it online. Somebody's got a Barker, and we could do this thing. And we could all. I mean, I'd love to hear you speak, and then Linda. I don't know if you guys ever spoke before, or even know one another.
Yes, I do.
You do know one another. Okay.
Very grateful for the work that Charles has done on this issue.
Kick it over as
Linda.
Yeah, I think kick it over as an idea. And this morning, Mike Valin was with us. And, you know, of course, he went to Harvard with some guy that knows him. And we're trying to get close to him. Now that he's back out again talking, he's the one guy that could really financially pull this together. And just it's a thought. Maybe you can push in that direction. Now, Commander, why did you, because I was asking Linda this. We'll come back to Linda. But since you just joined us, what was the moment for you where you realized that there's a lot of problems with this man's, quote, life story, and why?
Well, it was early in the summer of 2008 when the short form birth certificate came out, and that was proven to be a forgery. It had serious anomalies and flaws. It was another computer-generated fake. And at the same time, if you remember, Dr. Corsi was coming out with his book, which it was out, Obama Nation, and I read that book, and I, as a military officer sworn to support and defend the Constitution against all officers, foreign and domestic, and also as a person who was interested in national politics in the sense of who our new commander-in-chief is going to be, I said, this guy, who is this guy? He comes out of nowhere and knocks off the political machine, the Clinton's machine, and now I see his forged documents. And the more you dug into this guy, the less you knew. And then Attorney Byrd filed his lawsuit to try to stop this nomination before it got through the DNC convention. And no matter what anybody said or did or tried to get done, or you write your congressman, send emails, no, they ignored you. There was something going wrong here. The whole system was stacked against getting information out about this guy, and he was like a giant railroad was pushing this man forward. And there's nothing that can be done. Nobody wanted to look into these problems of what his real identity was and the falsities in his life narrative. I mean, you got to remember back in December 2007, Chris Matthews said that he was born in Indonesia. At that point, Chris Matthews was shilling for Clinton, and the Clintons are the ones that got this out, by the way, first. They had their operatives, sending out the signals that Obama's life story is not what he said it was. So that's where I got involved, and the more I got into it and looking in the summer of 2008, the more concerned I got that we had a person who was not a natural-born citizen, a person who did not have sole allegiance to this country. And in fact, the more I dug, the more I believe he was a radical ideologue with not good, his interests were not in protection of the United States Constitution and the United States and its interests. He's a citizen of the world, and he had a lot of people in his background as communists, Bill Ayers, terrorists, and connection to the Saudi king. He ultimately bowed to him. Foreign money was coming into his campaign under various names like Mickey Mouse, and he turned off all the protections for credit card checking. So he's got a gazillion small donations from people with names that never donated money and ridiculous names like Mickey Mouse. And I think what they did was send in paid up debit cards from the Saudi Arabian banks through maybe to circulate it through diplomatic posture through Venezuela. Say each card has 10,000s on it, and they just paid their Acorn guys to sit there and use the phone book and type in a name and $100 and keep going until the card was empty, and then they get another card, you know. But he raised vast amount of money, and you could just see that the fix was in for this guy. Nobody would talk about anything, and you got to remember John McCain I believe they made a pact because John McCain's not a natural-born citizen in the classic sense.
But
and they made a deal.
Yeah, yes. He was born in Panama, and both of his mom and dad were U.S. citizens, and his dad was stationed there in the Navy. No, he qualified him. He truly did.
You could have argued Patel to say he was because Patel says that when you're born, your parents are American, you're born overseas in the service of your country, you shall be considered to not quit your country, and you're natural born.
Yeah, that's
right. But they didn't bring up
no, I agree.
Patel for McCain. They didn't want to go to Patel because that would have killed Obama. Because Obama doesn't have a citizen father.
Let me switch over to, and Ms. Jordan, when was the moment, as I just asked Commander, when was the moment for you that you said, wait a minute, this doesn't line up?
Well, for me, it was my lie-on one was when Barack Obama said that he didn't know the unrepentant terrorist Bill Ayers, the Weather Underground. And I had done extensive research into his relationship with Bill Ayers, and it was a long-term relationship. He had many ties to the man. He knew him very well, and rather than admit it, he said that the only reason he knew him was because their children go to school together, and their children are 23 years apart in age.
Right.
So that was a whopper of a lie, and my jaw dropped, and I waited for the media to say, what? Your kids can't go to school with Ayers kids. Never did. And then that's when I got scared, and I went, wow, something's going on. A lie, he can tell a lie like that and get away with it. And then I started hearing about people like Kirshner and his lawsuit, and he educated me about natural-born citizenship. I'd never even thought about it before. I got a good education from him on that, and his bravery, what he was trying to do in defense of this country. And I kind of was waiting for men and women like him who are in positions of power and authority to do their job, and they weren't. So private investigator out of Ohio, Susan Daniels. She did some sleuthing.
She's the best.
That's the best. She's wonderful.
She's the SS.
And she discovered that the Social Security number he's using is not his. It was out of Connecticut.
Connecticut, yeah.
And,
let me pause again, because there are people that are first-timers on this, and I think that it's important. Susan Daniel, who will be with us tomorrow, is in Ohio. And she has become part of this cabal of you.
He was asked by somebody to investigate this guy because they were getting the same bad feeling that we all were. And so she did. And, you know, she does this kind of investigation, background checks for lawyers all the time. And there are certain red flags that just hit you between the eyes. And one of them is if somebody you're investigating has a Social Security number out of a state that they never lived in.
Out of a time frame that shouldn't be.
Yes, on the time frame. So Obama was 15 years old and living in Hawaii when this Social Security number was issued to someone in Connecticut. And she just knew immediately he's got a fake Social Security number. This isn't his Social Security number.
Do you remember when Bill O'Reilly said it's because his father got it for him when he went to Yale, and Yale is not in Connecticut? But remember Bill O'Reilly saying he had seen the truth?
And his father was back in Kenya at that time. He wasn't even in the United States.
Now, explain people like O'Reilly, if you would, Commander.
Well, O'Reilly has made several misstatements on the air, and I don't understand what O'Reilly is really trying to accomplish, other than to continue the deception that Obama does not have these problems. I mean, Obama, to me, the indicators there of a consummate grifter. His whole life, he's been a grift, and he changes his story as far as what he is and where he came from to suit the moment, to suit his current needs and goals. I don't really know for sure where he was born. I know Abercrombie couldn't find his birth certificate when he became a governor, but
Abercrombie kept the lie alive by saying he saw them socially, and and he saw them when they were together and when they were
That was
married.
a lie. That was a lie.
Of course it's a lie.
Obama Jr. wasn't even in Hawaii
No.
at the most, maybe 2 weeks.
Off to Washington State.
Yes.
Correct.
But
And,
why would a governor, and that's the thing about about Abercrombie, oh, no, I saw them socially. All these things.
He's a former SDSer, I'm told. I think Neil Abercrombie was a member of the Students for Democratic Society. This is what I was told. I haven't seen a membership list with his name on it. And of course, Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorns. They were one of the founders of that organization. This SDS network is very much very important as to this whole scenario. These are hundreds of thousands of radical and ideological radicals followed Saul Alinsky's advice and went deep underground, got their degrees, and now they've matriculated up to the system, to the pillars of power in all our institutions, and they still network and they're still out to destroy our country and bring it down.
Here's what I'd like. Here's what I'd like to ask you this. Back to Governor Abercrombie. He blatantly lies. Oh, I saw them socially. I did this. I did that. All these different things that he had seen. And you're right. I think he searched for the birth certificate and couldn't find it. And then he just simply goes to ground. And he shuts up and he won't talk about it again. But no one, underline no one, by the way, he had been a congressman. I'm sure you know that.
That's right.
No one said, well, I mean, because the evidence is so overwhelming, and this goes to another one of the greats, is DeCourcy. When they went to Washington State and they found, Stanley Ann had enrolled in university. They talked to the babysitters. They saw the rent certificates, the rent checks. She was renting an apartment. She was going to night classes. She had left Hawaii, as they say, left Iraq when that baby's like no more than 14 or 15 days of age. Now, where did she get the money to do all of that? Because where did Gramps and Toot get the money? And the idea that Abercrombie.
Well, Gramps and Toots weren't poor. That's another false image they put out there, because she was the vice president of a bank
at the time. But I thought he was working in a furniture store, and she had begun to.
He was a CIA agent.
Well, there's people that say that. Yeah, that. I mean, I'm right at my pause. Here's what I'd like to do. When we come back after this, the mystery of Barack Obama. We can go Linda first. What do you think the true story is? And Charles, Commander, after that, what you think the true story is? And then one of our other true favorites is on the show is Jack Cashill. Go to the website, if you would, 710knus.com, and there's great stuff up on there. The facts that suggest Obama's birth certificate is a fake. Linda Jordan and Commander Charles Kirchner retired. We're talking once again about, and by the way, what's fascinating is the Daily Mail has picked up on the Trump story. Let me read you an email aimed at us, aimed at, this is Donald Trump. He doesn't have anything else to do, all that money, he just can't get over the fact that Barack Obama is our president, and a great one. There is nothing he can do about it. He was voted by the people. He didn't steal the presidency. Trump and you need to focus on your lives. I would give him anything if Obama wanted it. If Obama lied, oh well, he's a politician, and they all lie. He's not the first to lie, and he won't be the last to lie. I should have lied so I could get me more financial assistance for school. I wish I would have known, and that's aimed at the three of us. So, as I said, Linda, what do you believe the true story is?
Well, of course, I have to say purportedly, because it's hard when you're dealing with so many lies to have a starting point of truth. But let's say that what Barack Obama says about his mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, is true, and that she is his mother indeed. After doing a lot of research about her life, and, she was here in my state, Washington State, and lived just across the water there in Mercer Island, I think that Barack Obama was born to an unwed mother. I think that he found that out at a young age. I think he found out a lot of things at a young age that were not what he had been told by his mother, by his grandparents. I think that Stanley Ann Dunham had no love for America. She was a radical, a leftist, and she really it was sexy to her to be foreign. She wanted to be foreign, anything other than America, and she wanted her son to not have American citizenship. So I think she was very happy when she married Lolo Soetoro, And when Barack Obama became a citizen of Indonesia, I think she let his American citizenship lapse, and that was fine with her because she hated America. I don't think she had any love for America at all, and she wanted her son to be a citizen of the world and be this kind of foreign-born person.
Because of time, when do you think he picks up on all of this and begins to tell his own story?
I think it was probably high school. You know, I'm kind of in the same boat as Obama, and I remember he was in Oklahoma when he said himself that he was born to an unwed mother.
Yeah, but
maybe he backtracked on that. He probably did, but I think he was telling the truth at that moment, and so was I. And I remember when I found out about it, and I had been told a story that wasn't true. And some of what I had been told ended up on my birth certificate that wasn't true.
Yeah.
So I know that stuff happens. So the difference between me and Obama is that I have told the truth about what, you know, being born to an unwed mother, and my name is not this. It's not what my mother said. My dad is not who she said it was. And he isn't. He's just telling lie after lie after lie to suit whatever he wants to do to serve him.
Yeah.
And he lied his way all the way into the White House, and that's treason. And we should not stop until he's held accountable for what he's done.
Commander, your thoughts, the real life story, true.
Okay, for the world, I have a website, protectourliberty.org, protectourliberty.org. If you can read a lot there about what I'm going to say, but I believe that Obama was not born in Hawaii. I don't know for sure where he was born. Could be Canada, Kenya, Indonesia. We've heard various attributions to those three countries. I think his birth was registered in Hawaii. I think back there as a very, very young infant, and the grandmother said, we got to get this child citizen, and papers were filed with the health department. It was very easy to do. You just signed a sworn affidavit, born at home with no witnesses, and the child's considered born in Hawaii, and that generates those newspaper ads in the paper. So I don't believe he was born in Hawaii. To believe that, you'd have to discount all the statements that have come out of Kenya from family over there, legislators claiming that he was born there. His grandmother said it twice. The 3 or 4 legislators said it. And this has been a grift from the very beginning. I think the grandparents were grifters too, in the sense and living on a made-up life to suit the need, and that they just defrauded the government to get their newborn grandson citizenship, not natural-born citizenship, but citizenship, basic citizenship. And they just lied, and he's continued to lie all his life, except then he at some point in his life he became he was born of a prince from Kenya. Another point, he was born in Indonesia. He told a Marine in Hawaii that he was born in Kenya. There's a newspaper in Hawaii published that he was born in Indonesia. The book publisher for 16 years had him born in Kenya. So what is real and what is memorized? We won't know until somebody finally investigates this and under the rules of law, and forensic examination has got to be done. I happen to be a genealogist, and genetic genealogy is an area of my expertise, and I'm quite ready for the day that they start some DNA testing here to prove what's fact and what's fiction about his life.
You know what's interesting with both of you and Jack coming up, my personal belief, and again, we're using words like belief because you can't use knowledge. I believe that Frank Marshall Davis is his biological father, and I believe that things have been hooked and cooked from Jump Street. But you know what? Here's 3 of us, and I respect the 2 of you immensely with 3 different opinions, and it really gets down to nobody knows. And
Cash. Right. Well, one of the things they could be hiding also is that he was adopted below the age of 5, because under the Geneva, the Hague Conventions, which the United States is a party to, if a child is under the age of 5 when adopted, they lose their natural citizenship where they were born, and they get they're considered natural born of the country of the adopted parents. So they could be hiding the fact that he was legally adopted below the age of 5.
And one of the things that Jerry did, and we'll speak with Jerry tomorrow, he finds that whole other name that shows up. And I remember
Soybarka.
Yeah. And then I remember when Jerry dropped that, and everybody started really saying crazy stuff to Jerry, and all
Well,
of a
you know
sudden,
how that happened, that Soybarka was on the application to renew Stanley Ann Dunham's passport, and the regulations state then that you would write the name on there of a child who was on your previous passport and then cross it out.
Right.
That is a administrative procedure. What people think it was put on there and crossed out by mistake.
No,
I know
it
put
wasn't.
on there because of continuity to a prior passport, and you cross out the names of children you want removed on your new application, your reapplication. So she put that name on there, and that indicated she had a prior passport.
Yeah.
And yet the government says they can't find any records of any prior passports.
Or they're suppressed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Because she was traveling out of the country. I'm sure she was.
I tell you, my respect for you guys grows every day, Linda and Commander. Next week, guys, we'll do this again. We're close to the top of the hour. Actually, we passed our time with you guys. Thank you both so much, and everything that you guys will do. We'll do all the links up. I'll put you on I'll put you on hold. Give it to Casey to make sure we have both your website links up, and we'll talk ASAP. Commander, thank you. Linda, thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Both on hold, you guys.
Are people with something to hide.